Welcome to the Ö1 Festival podcast on the Ars Electronica 2024. The Festival for Art, Technology and Society will take place in Linz from September 4th to 8th and will be dedicated to the title Hope, Who Will Turn the Tide. It will focus on artists, researchers, developers and entrepreneurs from all over the world. And one of them is sitting here with me. I'm pleased to welcome Masharu from the Netherlands. They hold a PhD in mathematics and a degree in photography. And one of their big passions, which has also gained them artistic fame, is eating earth or soil-like substances such as clay or chalk. Now you're a guest here at Ars Electronica, where you have started your residency as part of the European Media Art Platform, and your project is called Compost as Superfood. How do you feel being here in Linz?
Thank you so much for introduction, Hanna, and I'm very happy to be back to Linz after 3 years. 3 years ago I was here for exhibition of the Museum of Edible Earth, and the installation is still here as a part of exhibition There Is No Planet B. And it's really nice to actually be back and just see again the installation from 3 years ago, but also feel like I'm developing something totally new, but also not new because the idea is coming from my passion, eating earth. So the project Compost as Superfood is evolving from the previous work that was presented here at the Museum of Edible Earth.
So you describe yourself as an earth eater and an earth lover. What exactly is it that you eat?
Right, well, that's exactly what it is. I'm eating earth and earth-like substances, which are mostly clay, chalk, limestone, so it's not necessarily topsoil. As you can see here on the table, this is just a little small extraction from the collection of the Museum of Edible Earth. And you can see this is earth with not as much organic material in it. Did you try some samples in the exhibition upstairs?
No, I have not.
Would you like to try something?
Sure, let's do that at the end, because I think many people are interested first in how did it all get to the point and what has your artistic and creative journey been so far. But we're gonna try that later, I think, but could you maybe just describe what does soil taste like?
Oh yeah, right. Soil has different tastes. Actually, all types of soil have different tastes, I would say. It's like different humans. There is no the same human, right, on the planet Earth, so it's the same with different types of earth. They're all different. But there are some similarities. So some soil has a creamy taste. Or I would say not necessarily soil, like clay and chalk, these are earth-like substances. So sometimes it's creamier, sometimes it's nutty. I know you don't like nuts.
Because I'm allergic to nuts. Okay, so it tastes nutty. Okay.
But it sometimes tastes nutty, but I don't think it has nuts in it.
Okay.
So maybe if I offer you some earth, it should not taste nutty.
Probably. Okay.
Some has like this one. I'm just looking what I have here. Sometimes it is also even a bit of taste of chocolate or feeling of chocolate or raw cacao or raw sugar. It can also be a bit of mushroomy taste. And what else I'm looking? What can we taste here actually? Some of them taste a little bit like, well, actually like earth. So it's like the taste of cellar, or the smell of earth after rain.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine a taste associated with it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's something like this, basically.
When did you start eating earth?
As a child.
Mm-hmm.
Even I don't remember it myself, but my grandmother remembers that she couldn't stop me from eating sand and clay.
So just running around in the garden or?
Or just outside. We didn't have a garden, I was raised in a concrete block.
Maybe that's why you had a desire to immerse yourself a little bit more in nature.
Actually, I think so, because I was growing up on 21st floor.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
maybe I just was craving and I wanted to get grounded.
How often do you consume it now?
Right now, I would say not every day, not anymore, but for sure weekly.
Okay.
Couple of times a week, maybe 2-3 times a week.
And what are your personal reasons for doing it? Are they like spiritual or nutritional or just for the taste?
Mostly for taste and pleasure. And I think feeling of grounding. And sometimes, yeah, I just want to eat particular type of earth. Like sometimes I'm in the mood for like eating this red clay or this black soil. Like I have this kind of desire, and then I do it.
So how and when did that interest in earth as food evolve into something more like an artistic project?
It started more than 10 years ago when I finished my PhD in mathematics. And I started going more direction arts, because at the same time I finished photography, so I was looking into what kind of projects I'm interested in. First I thought I will be a photographer, and I started doing photo project, taking pictures of people eating strange things. And this included clay and chalk. And then I wanted to do something with it, so I started developing edible ceramics that people can bite on. And then I just got audience very interested, and people were coming with different type of stories. Actually, honestly, when I had my first exhibitions, I was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna eat this stuff. But really, people were so interested. I got so much like enthusiasm, and everybody wanted to try. Like I put out this edible ceramic cups, and sometimes people were eating 2 in a row. And I was like, wow, that's like really a lot. And also, especially that people wanted to share their own stories sometimes it was from cultural background, and sometimes just something from childhood, or something they read somewhere, also about desires, cravings for the earth.
Did you ever want to be a mathematician, like as a profession, or did you want to be an artist?
I cannot say that I wanted to be a mathematician. I think it was more like I was good in math, and also it was something that was, I guess, a choice of my family, but also a reasonable choice in the place where I come from, like in my home country, in Russia. This choice also made it possible for me, for example, to travel and to go abroad to get work and to get access to like European residence permit. But no, it was not my passion, I would put it this way. I mean, my PhD project was, I think, quite successful. It was applied mathematics, so I don't think I would stay in academia, but I could have gotten a job in industry. My PhD thesis was downloaded more than 1,000 times from the website of the library. So it was connected to electron microscopy, and I think it was quite interesting, but it was not something that I really, I guess, desired. It was more choice, yeah, just to make my living and to make my move possible. And then I changed my profession, which I'm very happy about. But I'm also happy about my scientific background. Like right now, we work in a biolab with the project Compost as Superfood. And of course, it's helpful that I have some access to reading, for example, academic papers and understanding them.
And also the analytical component of your work, also the research you do, of course. So since 2017, you have developed and researched the Museum of Edible Earth. What exactly is that?
Right, so Museum of Edible Earth is a traveling collection of earth samples. And by earth, I mean, again, like different earth-like substances like chalk, clay, limestone, but it can also be topsoil. And all of these samples are eaten by humans. So if at least one person is eating it, then I can put it into the collection. I don't just go out there, right now I wouldn't go to the city center of Linz and collect a sample and put it in the collection of the Museum of Edible Earth, unless I meet somebody who is really eating it. So if you know somebody eating earth in Linz, please let me know.
All right, I will see. And how many different types of earth or soil are there in the museum?
It's something between 500 and 600 for now.
How do you gather them?
In different ways. Sometimes I just traveled to places and went together with people who were collecting earth. Sometimes I bought it online because there is a whole market for it. It's possible to buy edible clay on eBay or Etsy. You can look it up.
Why not?
Some things are sold in supermarkets, like, there is this German earth loofahs. It's official food supplement. So it is a recognized edible earth on European market. And here in Austria, there are also a couple of brands sold. I bought one earth from Switzerland. It's also sold in drugstores, and it is the most expensive I have, 60 euros for 200 grams.
Still, people here in our Western culture would say eating earth is eccentric, to say the least. But how is that different in other parts of the world?
It is different. I've been seeing, for example, clay chunks being sold on the market together with spices and food stuff in Central Asia. So I do think that this is less uncommon and people heard about it, but still it is in contemporary world, this practice is often marginalized. So it's often associated with like poverty, low education, lack of access to food. And it's interesting because it has been a cultural practice and tradition across the globe in many places, including Europe.
Okay.
And but then it changed in the last hundreds of years, and of course it's understandable. Earth is getting more and more polluted. So even if we talk about like more organic soil and topsoil, as far as I know, I talked to different people about it. Farmers used to taste their soil to understand the quality. But right now it's not being done because of pesticides, which were invented and put to place less than 100 years ago, as far as I know. So 100 years ago, approximately all the farming was organic. And this changed quite fast. And also practices surrounding connection between human and earth have changed.
You said that people have been doing it or eating earth for centuries, if not longer, but what kind of tradition stands behind it? Is it like also purely nutritional or also like spiritual or part of some rituals, or where does it come from?
There are different traditions in it, and it can be spiritual, can be connection to ancestors, because humans are going back to the earth. We will go back to the earth, probably. Unless, of course, there are some other options of getting cremated and not going back to the earth. But earth is strongly associated in different places with ancestry. It can be also used as a medicine, detoxification, food supplement, because earth has iron, magnesium, zinc, calcium, and it can be just pleasure. It can be also a way of connecting to space, to new land. I know somebody from Zimbabwe, artists admire Kamut Zedgerere, and he, every place he goes to, he takes a bit of earth and puts it into water and drinks this water.
To form a connection, or?
And not to get sick, for example, to create a connection with ecosystem.
Okay, I see. And where right now are there still tribes or communities that still do it, that still eat it?
Well, yes, that's his cultural background. That's what he learned from his family. And there are definitely places where, like as I said, in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, clay is sold on the market. It's also a snack. It is done in different African countries as well. Like, I mean, in Europe it is done as well, but in a different way, through this type of food supplements that I mentioned, which are sold in drugstores. And for example, in the Netherlands, where I'm based right now, there was a practice of eating earth from the graves of saints.
Okay.
To get connected to miracles of the grave.
Okay.
So I collected such earth from the grave of St. Gerlach in the south of the Netherlands. But actually right now the grave is in the church. So it's covered by rock. And the church is putting sand on top of the grave. And it's possible to pick it up for donations. So it's not anymore directly connected to the saint body or what's left from the body. But the practice was there.
And what would you say are possible benefits of ingesting earth?
For example, clay is definitely cleansing the body. It absorbs. It can be used in case of poisoning. That's how I use it as well. If I poison, then I will eat some clay.
Okay, because you do get poisoned from your research, or?
Well, I mean, no, mostly from food.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes if I travel, especially I go to places and then I eat like street food and stuff, sometimes I get diarrhea. Then actually clay can be very helpful. It's binding. It's taking out toxins of the body, but it can also take out good elements. So it's interesting. It has minerals which our body might need, but it can also take out the minerals.
Okay, so one has to be careful.
For sure.
And what are the dangers? Like, what should one keep in mind, or what is the worst that can happen?
Well, I mean, definitely, as I mentioned, Earth is quite polluted right now, so there can be toxins, heavy metals, dioxins in Earth. There can be also parasites, pathogens. And, well, I mean, eating a lot of clay, like a kilo, 2 or 3, it can get hard in the body. So I personally don't eat very big quantities. I know people who do. So this was also a way to commit suicide, to eat a lot of earth in times of colonization and slavery.
Okay.
That people would do it to just live from life. So yeah, eating too much earth, of course, it can lead to death.
You first told me that there are different actual tastes. You said milk or chocolate or nuts or whatever. How is that? So how do the material properties of the earth affect its taste?
Right. I think often white earth, like kaolin clay, is kind of creamy. Red, sometimes a bit meaty, I think, because it has a lot of iron. And what else? I mean, let's say samples with some kind of sand in it, they're like more gritty. But this is not the taste, this is the structure, right? There are also quite some salty clays. So they have really pieces of salt. And of course, salt is also a type of earth, but eating it is socially accepted.
Right now, you're working on the project Compost as Superfood. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Right, yeah. Well, I got to taste this compost in Japan, which is called Kanazawa Bio. I have here the sample. And it is not produced for eating, it's produced for gardening. But the company is promoting it in a way that I think it's written something on the website like, this is such a pure compost that even a child can eat it. And I got really fascinated by this idea and by taste of this bio garden soil that I wanted to make my own. And I thought it's quite interesting because I have this collection, like as I said, between 500 and 600 samples, but none of them are human-made. And this was the first one that is human-made. And I met a chef, Chef Tanabe, who was trying to use this compost for cooking. So then I could take it in the collection of the Museum of Edible Earth, and I just got fascinated by it, and I thought I would really like to just make something like this, which I can, first of all, impact the taste, but second, possibly work with more organic material and soil microbiome.
Mm-hmm. And how safe or unsafe compared to earth or your other samples is it dealing with or eating or experimenting on compost?
Oh yeah, definitely it's less safe. Of course, because the other samples, they already were eaten by humans. And this is something totally different and new. So it is very, very experimental. I mean, also for the samples of the Museum of Edible Earth, we have a disclaimer of eating at own risk. Most of them are not official food products certified by, definitely not by European Union, but with compost, it's a next step. I don't know how safe it's going to be.
But right now, what is your work on a daily basis like, or how are you experimenting on or working with those different components?
Yeah, I mean, of course, to add to your previous question, I wish that this is safe. I hope that we can reach the moment that this will be safe, but I don't know what is going to be during the festival. Of course, we will put a disclaimer and all the information out there, also with the tests that we will make. Right now, we are making compost and trying to explore how we can test it in the lab and externally, and what actually the safety of eating compost would imply. And this is very interesting because it touches the subject of food safety and how actually safety of what we consume as humans living in this society is determined, and who is deciding about it.
Mm-hmm. That leads me to my next question. So what is your goal with that project?
Oh, my goal, I mean, my personal goal, my fascination was to make earth-like substance that is tasty and healthy. But of course, it touches upon many questions, like relationship between human and earth, and what I mentioned just right now, health, soil health, but also human health, and how they're connected and intertwined, and what are we eating, and who decides what we eat and what we don't eat, and what are the regulations around it.
Mm. And the materials that or the foods, I should say, that you're working with, are those like purely like vegetables, or how do you decide what kind of like input material you use to get the compost that you want to?
Oh yes, right now I work just with vegetables and food grade microorganisms. So everything is food grade, what is going into this compost.
Okay, so no like raw eggs or something?
No. So, and also right now at the moment, we are not working with the waste. We work really with very fresh products. Of course, turning something unedible into edible would be a very interesting possibility for the future, but right now we are not there yet.
Mm-hmm. And looking at the bigger picture, how do you kind of envision your work with compost as superfood or sort of Museum of Edible Earth, kind of making a difference, maybe addressing global challenges like climate change or resource sustainability?
Yeah, that's an important question. I think in general, it's important to maintain a relationship and connection with the earth and be in dialogue with the earth. And right now in Western industrial society, earth has also this so-called dirty connotations, like earth is associated with dirt. And this also impacts a lot how earth is being treated. And for me, the act of eating earth is creating a new connection with earth. And also a different level of awareness about pollution and soil health. And for me, I feel like being through these processes, I feel like being in a relationship with the earth and in dialogue. And maybe even sometimes I feel like serving the earth. But at the same time, of course, this project of compost, it still can be questioned how sustainable it is to just take, 20 kilos of fresh vegetables and compost them. Is it really sustainable practice? No, it's not. It's just an experiment for now.
Mm-hmm. Do you envision it going maybe further in like 5 or 10 years, or are you actually working on kind of creating a new mechanism or machine or whatever based on those findings?
I mean, this would be nice, yeah. I would like to do it, if possible, if there are resources available. I would really love to work on it. It's a complex project. It needs a lot of expertise of people from different disciplines. Right now we are consulting microbiologists, for example, but also we talk with people who are more specialized in food safety or organizations who are doing fermentation as well, and biodynamic farms. So it requires a web of different expertise and experience, and as well as financial resources. But in general, if I have access to resources, I would really like to make something out of it.
The main theme or the topic of this year's festival is hope. Hope, who will turn the tide. I was wondering, what brings you hope these days?
Yeah, what brings me hope? Yeah, honestly, I am. Sometimes I feel hopeless, looking at the world around also, and I do struggle sometimes with a lot of like depressive thoughts. But my work is giving me, I don't know if it's hope, but some kind of energy and drive to go further. And I find meaning in it. But maybe it's also a form of escapism. Sometimes I'm thinking about it this way as well.
For the visitors that will come in September and see and look around and maybe taste and try it, what do you hope to kind of convey to them, or what kind of thoughts maybe or ideas would you like to provoke in them?
Yeah, this is as I told about what kind of connection do we have as humans with Earth, and what kind of relationship are we carrying out with the Earth. But also I hope that we will make something that can be tasted by the audience. And I'm really curious about outputs and conversations which evolve. And hopefully we will not get any complaints and no dramatic outputs. But it's also, I think it's going to be very interesting. I do notice that people are eager to taste in general. And yeah, I'm just curious what evolves after. I do notice that when people taste Earth, they often have things to say and to share. And it changes something in the dialogue. So I'm really curious how it's going to evolve with the compost project. and how people want to engage with it. But it's a lot about sensory experience and tasting and touching and smelling.
Well, thank you very much for the conversation.
Thank you as well for your questions.